I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Monday.
We're just coming out of that turkey coma. Are you done with turkey, Jeff? You're like over the turkey? You still doing
I'm not a
leftovers
big
at home?
turkey guy. I'm like a big stuffings and green bean casserole guy.
So you don't even like the main
I get
course?
like a tiny little bit of meat on the corner of the plate, and then it's like mostly potatoes and stuffing and green bean casserole.
So you're not even there. So you're not even there to see like the headliner. You're just showing up to see the opening acts, and you're leaving early.
Dude, there's just some side acts that are sometimes better than the main stage, as we found out at the Castle Rock Starlight.
Oh, that's
where
true.
Jeff and Bill
Yeah.
were on the side.
Yes, in the
stage.
side corner, which was great. Love the location they had us. That was really fun.
It was. We were right by Santa.
Yeah.
It's 9:01 in the Mile High City on this Monday, December 1st, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. What is happening to these roads in Colorado? Like, it seems like there's a crazy amount of car accidents happening. Listen to some of these headlines. Just the last few days. Woman dies in Colorado 5 days after being struck by underage alleged drunk driver at over 100 miles an hour. That's just one. Car race between father and son in Colorado resulted in crash that killed two, Lakewood police says. Here's another one. Faith Winter, remember, state senator, a Colorado state senator, dies in I-25 multi-car crash at the age of 45. That was right before Thanksgiving. And then this one, down by where we live, 5 killed, including 3 children in highway crash near Franktown. Here's a fascinating story from our friends over at Channel 7.
We've been on the phones and working our sources for the past couple days. It's fairly unusual that the coroner and other agencies do not release the name now 48 hours after one of the deadliest crashes in the metro area in recent history. Multiple informed sources have confirmed to Denver 7 Investigates that this man, Walter Huling, was behind the wheel of the car that caused the crash. We dug into his criminal history and took our findings to Douglas County DA George Brockler.
I mean, it's an 11-page criminal history that dates back to when this guy was a juvenile.
31-year-old Walter Huling's rap sheet shows he was a frequent flyer in Colorado's criminal justice system, including 2 prison terms in the Department of Corrections.
It includes charges that scream I should still be in jail or prison somewhere. There's a lot of reasons for this guy to have not been free on the day he killed these innocent people.
In fact, criminal records obtained by Denver 7 Investigates show at the time of Monday's crash, Huling was on parole for a 2019 crime of second-degree assault, causing serious bodily injury. It was his second trip to prison, and records show his official discharge date was January of 2026.
This guy's criminal history and the fact that he appears to have been on parole when this happened screams, we are failing this community.
Huling's criminal history also includes multiple felony assaults, bribery, burglary, assaulting a peace officer, and he was on parole after a prior parole violation.
I think there's a lot of justifiable anger and questions that should go on after a case like this. I've got questions for the state of Colorado, especially a guy that was on parole after he'd had a parole violation. Those questions have to be pretty stern, and that is, what are you doing? Who are you putting out here on the streets?
Clearly, there are still more questions to be answered. Denver 7 Investigates reached out to the state's Department of Corrections for further clarification on why Huling was out of prison on parole. We want to know if state law mandated his release or if the parole board granted him an early return to the streets. So far, no response to our calls and our emails. We will follow up. I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski.
Channel 7 providing that good report. So the guy that killed 5 down near Franktown had stolen a car from a woman up here in Aurora from an RTD parking lot, crashes it, kills 5 people, including 3 children, and has a rap sheet that's 11 pages long and was out on parole. So you have that crash. You have the car racing in Lakewood where a father and son kill 2 innocent people there. You have the 100-mile-an-hour crash up in Weld County. You have the trucker that runs the truck with fuel into Yale's underpass. You have Faith Winter that dies. What is happening on Colorado roads? And is it in part due to reckless people getting out, like this guy that killed folks down near Franktown? We'll get into this and more. Now is time, though, for news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Happy Monday morning and welcome back. 18 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 41 with sunshine today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story before we get to commies trying to kill us from inside and outside, let's go to D.C. for a football game. Sunday night football, Broncos in D.C., overtime, going for 9 straight wins. Broncos lead by 1. The Commanders go for 2 for the victory.
Washington for the win. Mariota has it rejected by Benito, and Denver has won 9 in a row.
Nick Benito, 27-26, the final Broncos in OT. Here's how the Broncos took the lead in overtime.
Harvey, the running back. He's got it. Left side and into the end zone for the touchdown.
R.J. Harvey, what a game for everyone last night on the road. Bo Nix, 29-45, 321 yards, 1 incredible touchdown pass, 1 INT. Head coach Sean Payton.
They're tough out. The quarterback was able to make some plays. You know, our 3rd and long, again, became an issue, and then they converted some 4th downs. But we got the play when we needed it.
And Denver returned home this morning, back to work Wednesday for the next game. The Raiders on the road. They are horrible. Yes, I hear you.
I think we've won 10 games now.
Oh, is it 10 straight?
Yeah, it's 10.
Oh,
well, 9. Yeah, we're 10-2, 9 straight. I think. Yeah.
9 straight.
Yeah, 9 straight, 10-2.
Oh, yeah,
there
10
we go.
wins.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm losing.
Because
I'm
we're
losing
chasing
track.
the Patriots. So I'm just it's just saying.
Yeah, and what the Chiefs on Christmas. I think that's Christmas Day.
Yeah,
so the Chiefs are chasing, man. Are they gonna make the playoffs?
Oh, if there is a God in heaven, no. Just because the fact that they're just 500 right now is fantastic. Just because.
Bill, what about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift?
What about it?
They're the power couple.
Yeah, what about it?
They should be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
not necessarily.
What is the NFL
Especially
going to
with
do
Bad Bunny at
without that storyline? By the way, did you see who's doing the national anthem?
No, I didn't.
This was announced yesterday.
Yeah,
I'm actually
for
excited
the
about
Super
this
Bowl?
for the Super Bowl.
Oh, you know, I heard it, but I can't remember.
Dude, I'm super actually excited about this guy.
Okay.
It might be the one redeeming factor so far about the entertainment aspect of the Super Bowl. Charlie Puth.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably don't know him, Blake, but
I'm not sure I know him.
But he's the guy that he's like a super genius when it comes to music, and follow him on Instagram. He's not political; he doesn't really get involved in it. But he was on Jimmy Fallon, and he made like a whole song off of just like tapping a coffee mug.
Oh wow!
And then he started recording and made like a whole song. He's like a crazy super G. He seems like a cool guy.
Nice.
But he's doing the national anthem.
Must be talented.
Yeah.
Very talented.
But then you can still cut away for the halftime show. Go to Turning
who's
Points.
singing Lift Every Voice? Who's singing that?
Somebody. Yeah, they're still doing that. Right. Oh,
Let's talk about Jesus, man. That's awesome. Just make the entire Super Bowl about Jesus. I'm sure the lefties will love that. That's awesome. Yeah, it would. I love it. Yeah, I got to see that at halftime. All right, 2 people are, as Jeff was talking about this, Jeff and Billy with the car crashes, 2 people are in the hospital after a head-on crash on US 6 near Clear Creek Canyon. Yeah.
And then you saw the 50 people that were involved in the Glenwood Springs accidents yesterday.
Yes. And then, all of it seems like all of them like bail, or at least half of them, if they can. This guy left at the scene. They have found him. The one guy, it was two Dodge Ram pickups collided at milepost 263. Emergency crews had to extricate a person from one of the vehicles. I mean, it's just, you're right, man. And see the people weaving in and out of lanes, especially truckers, man. I have never seen this. The semi drivers, God, there's so many great drivers, and then there are just horrible semi drivers. I think.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think it is? Do you think it's? Do you think I just have bias that I'm paying attention to this more? And Colorado's always had these problems. Speeding, father, son, killed 2 people. Guy going 100 miles an hour, drunk, kills somebody, and then you got the guy down in Franktown that steals a car and kills 5, including 3 kids.
Horrible.
And then Faith Winters dies.
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
I don't
it
think
seems
it's
like
you.
something's happening out there. I
just don't feel like they're pulling over enough people.
Well, you see all the people with the expired plates. Like, that's one good evidence that they're not pulling people over.
And you know how I hate the motorcycles in and out, weaving in and out. And then once again, last week I had it again. Someone passing me on the shoulder. What the F? I mean, going like 100 miles an hour. I mean, just, and then of course, 2 minutes later, I pull up behind them after we exit, and they're just trying to get there, just a little, but then they get to the location the same time I do. So ridiculous.
Bill, what do you think? You're a car guy. You're a Denver native.
Yeah.
Is this just par for the course in Colorado? Does it seem like things are getting crazier out there?
Yeah, we are just worse drivers. We're just really bad at it. I mean, just the skill level is atrocious for many, many drivers. And like when Blake's talking about somebody coming up on the shoulder, I mean, that's a video game move. That's someone that isn't really playing with real life, nor has some of the, in my opinion, real life experiences of piloting those cars, those trucks. But again, we also, in my mind, this is kind of a weird way to take it, but I feel that as Americans, we view our automobile in many cases as an extension of not just ourselves, but our ego. That it is a bubble of our ego, and it is where we are in traffic is a reflection on us. And it's weird in America versus when you're over in Europe is I see in Europe that driving is a team sport where it's an individual sport here. And I think that's the easiest way that I can talk about the differences is that we individually as Americans are constantly competing with everybody else out there on the road. And I'm not holding myself outside of this. It's sometimes absolutely I do as well. And I recognize that mentality where it seems to be more of a team sport in Europe, whereas Blake was saying, we are all going to get to where we're going and we're going to get there together and we're going to do it together. Just like, okay, so the person that Blake talked about getting around and going down the shoulder, but if that person was traveling faster than Blake in the other lane, then there is a point, or was just traveling behind Blake, if we were looking at this as a team sport, that person could come up, slide in front of Blake using normal passing rules, and then get in front of him, and then we'd all continue forward. But this person is so insistent that they view Blake as an opponent. Blake is never, in their mind, in their car, Blake will never let me around him, even though I'm going faster. He is, I mean, it's, who is it? Who's the comedian that always talks about everybody who's in front of you going faster than you on the road? They're an idiot, but everybody going slower than you is an a-hole. The only way you can ever be normal is going exactly your speed. So that's kind of the idea, is this person is viewing Blake as being this idiot in front of him that can't get out of the way, and you don't know what I'm doing, where it's, if we view it as a team sport, we can see that. That's why like zippering, when you're trying to merge lanes, doesn't work as well as it does in Europe. We don't zipper very well. We don't understand the concept of merging lanes. We want to make sure the person next to us doesn't get over us by just one car length. So we'll do whatever we can to prevent them. We are just aggressive drivers, and I believe it's an ego type of thing. And our skills suck recently. They're really bad.
I feel like driver's ed stopped training people how to have proper distance. Like, I feel like I'm tailgated everywhere I go.
Same here.
But here's the idea: is you can't have proper distance anymore. Remember, because this is a competition, and if I give the proper number of car lengths between myself and Jeff's car, some idiot is going to come screaming in and squeeze in between the two of us. And now I have to slow down even more to create the car lengths that someone else, some idiot, and I'm using the word intentionally because of our conversation earlier, some idiot is going to scream up and then cut me off and get in front of me. So we are disincentivized to have the actual distance between cars because someone else will come in there. And if you want a lesson in this, drive a minivan for 3 weeks. You will have everybody in the world cut you off, swerve in front of you, push you out of the way,
flip you
off. It gets you up into the guardrail.
But guys,
it is just ridiculous.
Isn't this just part of us becoming California? Like, this is just another example of it. Like, here I have multiple headlines of people racing, going over 100 miles an hour, a father, son racing each other, killed 2 people. I mean, it's just another example of the Californication of Colorado. Now we got lots. I used to live in California. I lived out there for 6 years. Every night you could turn on and be another high-speed chase, and everybody would be helicopters following and a bunch of lunatics driving out there.
Yeah, there are too many stories across the country of bad drivers doing stupid things in other states for me to turn around and say that it's a Californication. Because we had in You Choose the News maybe about a month and a half ago, a guy that was a local elected official that videotaped himself and his friend with their cell phones racing down the interstate. That wasn't a California official, but this was a dude that was elected, that was in his supercar, that was racing his other friend in a supercar.
So remember that
we are stupid across the country as a whole.
I
think it's part of our ego.
Here. I think it's getting worse here. Phone lines are starting to light up. Go ahead, Blake. Continue.
I agree. Yeah, it is. All right, Cyber Monday has arrived. It's expected to be one of the biggest online shopping days of the year. Adobe Analytics predicts total online spending could top $14 billion. Jim Mora Jr. Landed, I call it Timnath International Airport, but he landed at the airport up here in northern Colorado. The new Colorado State head football coach has arrived. And here he is outside the plane in northern Colorado next to his wife.
Hi, Ram family. It's Coach Mora with my wife, Kathy, and we just landed in Ram country, and we are so excited to be here and can't wait to see you all tomorrow. Go Rams!
Great hire. Should be fun. They have a press conference today. 14 in Lakewood, 16 in Englewood, 18 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill. Welcome back. And they continue now. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Sunny to partly sunny and cold. Daytime temperature readings will be climbing into the middle to upper 30s today. Lows to 19s and 20s. Increasingly cloudy Tuesday. Highs making the 40s. There's another wave coming in, and Tuesday night, a chance of light snow developing. Lows in the low to mid-20s. Scattered areas of light snow on Wednesday and cold highs lower 30s. Not expecting a lot of snow, but a little bit. Tuesday night into Wednesday. Teens Wednesday night. Partly cloudy, cold, mid to upper 30s Thursday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. I'm intrigued by the number of headlines I'm seeing. Okay, here's one. Woman dies in Colorado 5 days after being struck by an underage alleged drunk driver at over 100 miles per hour. You remember the illegal immigrant that slammed into that woman 29 years old, coming home from work. He was 15 years old. He got deported. Here's another headline. Car race between father and son in Colorado resulted in crash that killed 2, Lakewood police say. Faith Winter, a Colorado state senator, died on I-25 this past week. And then you had the 5 killed down near Franktown with a guy that has a rap sheet 11 pages long. He's out on parole, steals a car from a woman at an RTD in Aurora, then crashes it down in Franktown. I think he was probably driving those back roads to avoid the license plate readers on I-25. But here's my question. It seems like it's getting worse in Colorado. Is it a combination of factors? We provide illegal immigrants with driver's licenses here. We have people moving in from other states, right? And then you have weak on crime DAs, politicians, and judges that are letting bad guys out. Listen to this report from Channel 7.
Been on the phones and working our sources for the past couple days. It's fairly unusual that the coroner and other agencies do not release the name now 48 hours after one of the deadliest crashes in the metro area in recent history. Multiple informed sources have confirmed to Denver 7 Investigates that this man, Walter Huling, was behind the wheel of the car that caused the crash. We dug into his criminal history and took our findings to Douglas County DA George Brockler.
I mean, it's an 11-page criminal history that dates back to when this guy was a juvenile.
31-year-old Walter Huling's rap sheet shows he was a frequent flyer in Colorado's criminal justice system, including 2 prison terms in the Department of Corrections.
It includes charges that scream I should still be in jail or prison somewhere. There's a lot of reasons for this guy to have not been free on the day he killed these innocent people.
In fact, criminal records obtained by Denver 7 Investigates show at the time of Monday's crash, Huling was on parole for a 2019 crime of second-degree assault, causing serious bodily injury. It was his second trip to prison, and records show his official discharge date was January of 2026.
This guy's criminal history and the fact that he appears to have been on parole when this happened screams, we are failing this community.
Huling's criminal history also includes multiple felony assaults, bribery, burglary, assaulting a peace officer, and he was on parole after a prior parole violation.
I think there's a lot of justifiable anger and questions that should go on after a case like this. I've got questions for the state of Colorado, especially a guy that was on parole after he'd had a parole violation. Those questions have to be pretty stern, and that is, what are you doing? Who are you putting out here on the streets?
Clearly, there are still more questions to be answered. Denver 7 Investigates reached out to the state's Department of Corrections for further clarification on why Huling was out of prison on parole. We want to know if state law mandated his release or if the parole board granted him an early return to the streets. So far, no response to our calls and our emails. We will follow up. I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski.
What do you think's happening out there on Colorado roads? Why are they so dangerous? Let's go to Nick in Denver. Good morning, Nick. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Thank you for taking my call, and I know I sound like an old codger, but this is a direct result of soft on crime. And I personally believe that if you are involved in a drunk driving incident, you don't necessarily have to kill somebody, but if you just injure somebody, you should have your license revoked for at least 5 years, a $10,000 fine, and an automatic jail sentence, period. And this is what happens over and over again. And I'm sure all the I hate to use all these phrases, but these liberals, these soft on crime liberals, this is what happens over and over again. And people who talk like me, oh, you're just an old codger. You're just behind the times. You're a Neanderthal. And this is what happens over and over again. My entire family was killed by 2 drunks when I was 19 years old, and I've never gotten over that. And they got off scot-free.
So, Nick, what do you mean by as far as a soft on crime? I understand, and I'm sorry about your situation, but what do you mean by soft on crime? Because some of these people, the guy that we talked about in Franktown, had a long list of previous encounters with the law and, in fact, 2 stints in prison. But that's not necessarily the case with other people that are involved in some of these moving violations and deaths on our roadways. Like the guy that crashed into the viaduct in his semi-truck in the last couple of days was a very, very, very experienced driver. He wasn't a new person. He wasn't someone that seemed to be ignoring laws and wasn't necessarily being reckless or someone that wasn't held responsible by the system, but yet still, ran his semi into a viaduct. I mean, help me understand how it's the soft on crime gets us to the bad drivers and then fatalities on the roadways.
What you said was an exception to the rule. Yes, you're never going to have a system that's foolproof. I understand that. You're bringing up a situation where this experienced driver, who apparently was not drinking, had a horrible accident. Yes, these things do happen. But somebody like that, you don't have to throw him in jail, but he made a mistake somewhere. A mistake was made, even with all his experience. Now, that means you don't throw the book at somebody like that. You don't throw the book as hard against somebody like that unless he was drinking heavily, but he has to pay some kind of a price. A mistake was made, obviously. He ran into a viaduct. That's not normal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm looking at the idea of what crime per se? Yeah, it's a mistake, but again, the crimes and again, and some of the crashes that Jeff outlined too weren't necessarily involving alcohol. The one that we have in Franktown, I haven't seen alcohol involved in that crash. It seemed to be speed and just bad skills.
Recklessness.
Yeah,
but it was a stolen car.
Oh, absolutely. But the idea is the alcohol inside of it. And so, when we're talking about drunk drivers, et cetera, and drunk drivers pose a particular risk inside of our streets. But, help me in that situation, Nick, where these drivers that are in these situations aren't drinking. Where do we go with this? I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong.
They still made a mistake. They still made a mistake in judgment. Of course, if you add on another layer of drinking, of course, things get exponentially worse. But they still made a mistake. I just got a $90 ticket from the city on one of those photo cams because I supposedly ran a red light on an intersection when I had to stop because there was another car running the intersection. And I had to stop, and I got stuck in the intersection before I could get out of the intersection, and I got a $90 ticket. And it was just cheaper for me to pay the thing instead of wasting half a morning going down to the city and contesting it and all that. But I'm saying if you make a mistake, obviously the penalty has to be tailor-made to what you did. But you have to pay some kind of a penalty. A mistake was made. This experienced driver should not have run into a viaduct. A viaduct is not 3 feet long. It's big.
Yeah. Now,
Nick, it's visible.
I'm not going to say that this is your fault, but in the situation that you said about the stoplight and getting the $90 ticket, if we're going to hold the person that's responsible, shouldn't we be looking at that person that ran the light? And shouldn't you be advocating for them to be held responsible for this ticket and this violation? And the only reason I'm saying that is because if we need to punish them early on to prevent this from happening, here's someone that just ran a red light. Next time, it could be running a red light and T-boning someone. Isn't this an opportunity, in theory, to go ahead and clamp down on that person that is actually the culprit?
Well, the problem I had was I would have had to go to court. Most of the morning would have been tied up, getting to court, waiting for my turn for my case to be read. It was a matter of logistics, and my wife finally said, Nick, you're going to waste more money than the $80 ticket. Just go and pay the thing, even though you have a very good case. So I paid the ticket, period. It was just cheaper for me than to waste the whole morning because I would have lost more money doing that. So that was just a matter of convenience.
Nick, Denver, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Nick's line will be open, 303-696-1971. Are the worsening roads, the deaths taking place on our roads in Colorado, a symptom, a lagging indicator of the progressive direction of the state? like I said, we have illegal immigrants with driver's licenses. We have weak prosecutors and DAs, to the Franktown accidents point, allowing violent people out on the roads. If he was held responsible for the crimes he had committed, 4 innocent people in Franktown would be alive today. You have racing. You have the motorcycles cutting through the cars right now. Are our road problems a lagging indicator of the progressive direction of the state? And is it going to continue to get worse? Give us a call and join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Guys, let's talk Guy Rees. My wife and I had a fantastic experience with Guy Rees and Parker. They got locations all over the Denver metro area. We got to sit down with their professional designer, and they showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters every single day. When I look at our beautiful blinds, I think of the great work Guy Rees has done for our home. I was a little overwhelmed at first sitting down with a designer. I've never sat down with a designer. They weren't crazy expensive. They were totally affordable, and they're real pros. They walked us through everything and helped us find the perfect options to enhance the look and functionality of our home. So whether your curtains are clashing or you just want a fresh look, Guy Rees has the solutions for you. Their designers are the experts, and they can help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor. But here's the best part. They offer a personalized in-home consultation. They'll come to you. So you can get the same expert advice right in your own home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit GuyRees.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUIRYS.com. Go see the great people at Guy Rees. You'll be sure to thank me. And we'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It seemed to me like a lot of headlines recently about wild deaths on roads. Woman dies in Colorado 5 days after being struck by underage alleged drunk driver at over 100 miles an hour. A father and son car race resulted in a crash that killed 2 innocent people in Lakewood. Faith Winter, Colorado state senator, sitting state senator, passes away on I-25 right before Thanksgiving starts. And then down in Franktown, you got 5 killed, including 3 children, by a guy that was out on parole with a rap sheet that was 11 pages long. And I wonder, part two, if some of the questions are, I remember talking to Darren Weekly, the sheriff of Douglas County, that 80% of the people in his jail aren't from Douglas County. Like, I wonder if some of these tough on crime sheriffs are dealing with people that got released in weak on crime jurisdictions in Colorado, then they finally get caught or kill somebody, God forbid, in some of these other counties that are trying to clean up the messes from places like Denver and Arapahoe County. Give me a call. Join the conversation, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Also, is this all indicative of just kind of a combined progressiveness that's happening in Colorado, where you have illegal immigrants with driver's licenses, you have weak on crime prosecutors and judges out there, and then you've got, you know, people with like racing, just kind of progressives that have moved into the state and made it more like California. Let's go to Jim in Littleton. Good morning, Jim. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Just point of clarification, motorcyclists are allowed to go in between the cars if it is that they're stationary, if they've got a traffic jam or something like that. So that is allowed now in Colorado.
Yeah, that is a surprise to
that's
many
new.
drivers.
Right.
Yeah, it's just all of a sudden they slide up. But you're right. It's allowed to do that when the cars are stopped, which, in all honesty,
Exactly.
It is a little disconcerting the first couple of times you see it, but I'm all for it. I'm fine with that. Yeah,
I'm not at all,
yeah.
dude. It is. I just feels like it's like a recipe for
now,
disaster.
Jim, this is the reason that I'm all for it personally. I'm all for it because I understand. Okay, this is entirely just between Jeff, you, Jim, the caller, and myself and the audience. The large majority of the reason that I have not purchased a motorcycle for myself and been a rider is because I noticed that all the other vehicles on the road are ginormous hunks of metal. And it doesn't matter what mistake I make or the other driver makes, I lose. Even when the other driver is completely and totally wrong, I lose. And so the part that makes me okay with the motorcyclist is that, 1, we are stopped. 2, I am happy getting them out of the regular flow of traffic. They're going to be quicker off the line, and it's okay to create that separation. I don't want them in a large group of cars as a bunch of us dummies in our huge ego machines are navigating around. I think that's dangerous for the motorcyclist. Now, I dislike it when I see them doing that on the highway. And Jim, you, Jeff, and I have all seen that, where they're sliding between lanes and going in between cars in a way in which, for an average car driver, it is scary. It is scary.
It's stupid.
I
Go
totally
ahead,
agree
Jim.
with you on that. I totally agree with you. I've had that happen to me as well. And the other thing is I hate to say it, but I believe that's an age issue.
Yes.
I typically see this happening with the kids with the sports bikes, going in between and doing that. And actually, I've seen them. I'm not kidding you. I have seen them on the highway at 65, and they go on one wheel.
Yeah.
I have seen them.
Oh, yeah, the
I have seen
wheelies.
those guys.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
have
have
seen those guys.
There's a writer that is, and I'm not going to claim credit for this. It's a friend of Peter Boyle's who years ago was in the studio with us, and I still remember this to this day. That he told me this. He goes, when you're on the road and you're looking at that bike, he said, if you want to figure out whether or not they're going to be crazy or they're going to be a danger to you as a driver, look at how they're sitting. And I went, what? And he went, hey, He goes, listen, the older guys, the guys that are sitting upright in the Harleys and the choppers, they're not going to be going 100 miles an hour and sliding in and out of the traffic. Normally, there are going to be some that will, but normally those aren't the guys. The guys that are leaning forward, that are, they're riding, as my dad used to say, the rice grinders, the Japanese models. When they're doing that and they're on the speed bikes, those are the guys that are going to slide in through traffic. And I've always remembered that when I see a motorcyclist on the road with me, I look at how they're riding. That'll tell me how they're probably going to behave.
I honestly feel, to be honest with you, I wish that they would make that an age-related law concerning you have to be over 21 to do that zipping in between the lines for motorcyclists. But I know that probably wouldn't fly.
Yeah, because how would you possibly enforce it at any point in time? But yeah, that's a good idea. And it's hard for me to say, is it something where you then delay the ability to get a motorcycle license? But I can't get there. I can't logically break my brain to get to a point to say that because you're going to ride a motorcycle, you should wait X number of extra years before you're licensed to do that. I have a problem getting myself there, even though it is a lot of the real young kids that are making the dumb decisions.
No, I agree. And then the other thing, you mentioned all these accidents that have gone on.
Yeah.
I have a question. Have they announced how many of those people had insurance? I bet you. I'd be interested on that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, Jim. I really like where you're going with that, because as Jeff is talking about bad drivers and us not taking the laws seriously, I think you got something there that I would probably guess that there is a large, significant portion of people that are causing these big crashes on the road that don't have insurance. Minor fender benders, things like that, sure, that we can see that. But the big crashes, like the one that Jeff's referring to in Franktown, I bet dollars to donuts, kid didn't have insurance, even though he stole the car. It didn't matter. He wasn't carrying insurance on any vehicle. Yeah.
Right. It's a problem.
It is, man. Thanks, Jeff.
Jim
Thanks,
Littleton, I
it,
appreciate it. Jim's line is open, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Let's talk Mountain High Appliance. They're extending their Black Friday sale to the end of this weekend. You got to go check out their incredible savings on today's top brands. Save up to $4,400 on select KitchenAid packages. This is taking place right now at all their showrooms. And don't forget their price match guarantee, ensuring you get the best deal. When you think appliances, think locally owned Mountain High Appliance, open 7 days a week. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking what seems to be a rash of deadly accidents taking place on roads here in Colorado, and wild cases, too. Not just accidents, but racing between fathers and sons, drunk driving with underage over 100 miles an hour, killed a woman up in Weld County. And then you've got the death of 5 down in Franktown, where it was a stolen car, a guy on parole with a rap sheet 11 pages long, and then Faith Winter, a sitting Colorado State Senator, dies around Thanksgiving out on the roadways. What is going on? Let's go to Larry in Denver. Good morning, Larry. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hey, Mr. Jeff, I just have a challenge for you just to address one of them, because I understand there's multiple reasons why there's a lot of accidents and people being killed and maimed on the road. But one of the oldest ones has always been, drunk driving, intoxication, everything like that. And I have always believed that commerce and money drives things. So my challenge to you would be, if you would take your camera and go out to Mile High Stadium, go all over
oh boy,
yeah,
go all over to all the football games and tailgating, and go to all the restaurants that have this, and these people go hours and hours and hours. Yeah. I would say, and then bring back the report.
Larry, I think you are probably exactly right. I bet there's a lot of drunk driving that comes from those places.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And then also, along with that, we have the law enforcement who are there are seeing these things go down and escorting these people, make sure they get, with that. So that's all I'm just saying. There become a discrepancy with commerce and really what's going on.
No, Larry, fair point. Appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
That's a great point. Kind of like there was a text messenger that was being kind of facetious online, but appreciate where they're going with that. They were like, we just need more EVs. Because, again, if you had full self-driving, if Elon came through on full self-driving, you can continue the party on your way home.
Yeah, well, I do think that's the future. I think as a parent with 2 teenage drivers in our house, I'm like, can we get to the self-driving cars?
Yeah.
And the problem as we possibly can to save their lives.
And the problem we have is, and I've told my kids this, there is nothing you can do outside of getting behind that wheel that trains you to be a driver. There isn't a book you can read. There isn't a video you can look at. There isn't a video game you can play. There is nothing that replaces the actual experience, because it has to do with perception of understanding how fast the other things are moving around you and what to do. Nothing replaces it besides getting behind the wheel.
Well, it's been a day full of debate. If you missed any of it, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. Billy and I are back. We'll be back tomorrow. You've been listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
I can't believe it's Monday. Good luck out there.